Welcome back one and all to the Boston Celtics Newsfeed, powered by CLNS Media. I'm Mike Walsh, manager of the Celtics Newsfeed, and this is day 4 of our 2017-18 NBA preview. We'll be going day by day in alphabetical order, releasing a new team preview each day leading up to opening night, October 17th in Cleveland. Before we get started today, I want to mention that with training camp on the horizon, we have a complete coverage schedule for CLNS Media. The CLNS crew will have full coverage of Media Day with press conferences, photo ops, and a new Garden Report episode on the YouTube page at youtube.com/CLNS Media. Tuesday through Thursday, we'll be at training camp in Rhode Island, and then back at practice Friday, bringing you all of the best audio and visual coverage. CLNS will then have full coverage of both preseason home games, so you're going to want to subscribe to youtube.com/CLNS Media to not miss a thing. Back to these preview podcasts, each will be accompanied by an outline blog post on our site, clnsradio.com. Today I'll be speaking with my good friend and Chicago-native Akeem Glaspie. He's a sports writer with the Berkshire Eagle. You can follow Akeem on Twitter at the Akeem Glaspie. That's at the Akeem Glaspie. The Celtics and Bulls will meet 4 times this season, starting on Monday, December 11th, with a game at Chicago, then back in Boston on Saturday, December 23rd, just before the holiday. Monday, March 5th, they're in Chicago, and then Friday, April 6th, they meet for the final time in Boston. Not too long ago, it seemed like the Celtics postseason and maybe even the Brad Stevens era was on the ropes, down 0-2 as the number 1 seed and heading to Chicago in the first round. So without further ado, let's get into day 4 of the Boston Celtics Newsfeed's 2017-18 NBA season preview with the Chicago Bulls and Akeem Glaspie. Welcome back, everybody, to the Boston Celtics Newsfeed 2017-18 NBA season preview. We're day 4 right now. We're going to talk the Chicago Bulls. I'm joined this morning by my good friend Akeem Glaspie, a Chicago native, current sports writer at the Berkshire Eagle. You can follow Akeem on Twitter at the Akeem Glaspie. Akeem, how we doing? What's up?
Nothing much. How's it going, Mike?
It's going okay. We've had some iffy teams so far. We started, obviously, we're going alphabetically, so Atlanta, Brooklyn. Made it through Charlotte yesterday. Charlotte has made some improvements. But we're on to Chicago now, and I want to get your take on where they're, I guess, trending directionally a little later on. But to start, let's talk that playoff series. So people obviously remember things got a little dire, actually, in Boston. The Celtics go down 2-0. Rondo looks like a world beater all of a sudden. What were your feelings when Chicago got up 2-0? Were you viewing that as something sustainable? Even, I guess, before Rondo got hurt or news came out that he got hurt?
Yeah, no, even as a diehard Bulls fan, I knew it was pretty fluky. I knew they really had no business in the series, but for some reason, Rondo really gave the team the spark that they needed. He looked like old Rondo, getting everyone involved, and I guess the dynamic of the team was really fractured between the Jimmy Butler and Dwyane Wade section and the young guys. And Rondo, the young guys love Rondo, and it kind of showed. I mean, Bobby Portis played well under him. A lot of the other guys, Felicio, the backup big, they all looked nice running the floor. But I knew it was fluky, and once he got hurt, it was over, and they looked like a completely different team, which doesn't say much about your team when Rondo is kind of the X factor, and then it just went all downhill from there.
Yeah, I think the bottom fell out pretty quick. I don't think any of those last 4 games were all that close. I think I mentioned in the on the post on CLNSradio.com, all 4 of the final games were won by 9 or more points by the Celtics. And so the Bulls enter this offseason, and I guess you could look at it at the start of the offseason one of 2 ways. It's, oh wow, we accomplished something in the playoffs as the 8th seed. We looked like we could, this is something we could latch onto. Or you go the other way, the bottom fell out, and I think that's the way Garform and John Paxson, really the whole Chicago organization, looked at it, because they have really almost cleared house. Jimmy Butler is gone. Rajon Rondo has been waived. A couple other guys are missing, and we can start off, I guess, with the Jimmy Butler move. It was pretty early on, June 22nd. Your take on that and the return that came back, because around the internet, around sort of national media, it's not looked at as a very good move for the Bulls.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of taken a 180-degree turn on this trade.
Okay.
When it happened, I was very upset, shocked, to say. I actually wrote a column about it and just kind of spilled my heart out on I couldn't believe that Garpax was almost too good for its own good, and now they just didn't know what they were doing. I mean, they pluck Jimmy with the 30th pick in the draft. They watch him bloom into a superstar, and then it's just all downhill from there. From Tibbs leaving to the Hoiberg experiment, it just doesn't seem to be gelling. But at the same time, I'm glad that they made some type of move instead of just spinning their wheels. Sticking with the veterans. They got rid of Taj Gibson, he's one of the most underrated players in the league, in my opinion. And he went to Minnesota and reunited with Tibbs. But getting rid of those guys and just going for a complete rebuild, which I did not think they would ever do, considering Garpax, considering how shaky their kind of job situation is anyway. So I'm guessing they have backing from the ownership to start this rebuild, and I guess it all starts with Lauri Markkanen, and I've come around on him as well.
Yeah, so Markkanen, a 20-year-old 7-foot rookie from Finland, actually. He gets taken 7th overall, part of that trade. So the trade overall, just to review for people, Jimmy Butler and the number 16 overall pick winds up being Justin Patton. They go to Minnesota, and Minnesota sends Lauri Markkanen, who was the 7th overall pick this year, along with Zach LaVine, Chris Dunn, and is that it? I think just those two guys? Yes. Yeah,
they'd be the marquee guys if there were some throw-ins. They're not of note.
Maybe there's another pick coming relayed in a couple years or something like that. But anyway, Zach LaVine, you get him, tore his ACL in February, so I guess you have to be looking at around a February return for him. That's usually a year-long thing, so maybe All-Star break area. And Chris Dunn, who I was actually very high on. I loved watching him at Providence. I'm a kind of a Friar fan there. He had a pretty rough intro to the NBA, really bad shooting splits in his first season. So you are looking at Markkanen as the real prize here. Did you catch him at all Summer League? What were your thoughts there?
Yeah, Summer League and in FIBA International. Apparently he's looked really well, averaging like over 30 points a game per 40 minutes. But apparently the potential for him is really high. The analytics guys seem to be really high on him. And I feel like if he can develop into a stretch 5, that will ultimately be like to maximize his potential in like a Porzingis type way. Not comparing them, but a stretch 5 is just very rare. And he showed from the clips that I saw during FIBA, he moves well. He puts it on the floor better than I thought. Finishes with some authority, and he can definitely stretch the floor as a 3-point shooter. So I'm interested. They didn't play together in Summer League, but how he and Bobby Portis gel together as a 4-5 front court, I feel like that could be intriguing. But yeah, I wasn't high on him. Markkanen, I didn't see a whole lot of him in Arizona, but from what I did see in the tournament, I wasn't impressed. But my friends tell me I put too much stock in tournament games.
Of course.
But yeah, we always do. But no, I'm coming around, and especially with the pick that they had, Markkanen definitely offered the most upside. It was a little shocking because I hadn't heard that he was linked to the Bulls at all. But and then LaVine, I'm also hearing that he's ahead of schedule, so I don't know if the February timetable is exactly correct, but I mean, he's an 18, 20 point per game scorer, explosive athlete. He is someone I'm very high on to see as well. And Chris Dunn, I don't know if he can turn into a serviceable point guard, the trade won't be as bad as it looked, say 3 days after it happened.
No, that's what you have to hope by the end of next year or the end of this coming year. It looks a lot better because you'll hopefully have as many as 3 starters on a team that might be competitive. Fantasy football is back, but if you got stuck somewhere on the night of your league's draft or wound up with a team chock full of nobodies, the full-length season can be a real chore to get through. So why not try out FanDuel? I just picked it up myself, and I got to tell you, FanDuel is great, super easy, no long-term commitments, everything you need in fantasy football, everything you want in fantasy football. You can even pick your team whenever you want. And as an added bonus for you Newsfeed listeners, we've got a promo code so you can try out FanDuel for yourself. Go to FanDuel.com, click the Join Now button, use the code CelticsBeat, try FanDuel for free with no deposit required. Again, visit FanDuel to claim your free contest. Play for a share of $10,000. Just sign up using the promo code CelticsBeat. It's that easy. That's FanDuel.com. Promo code CelticsBeat. Void where prohibited. But so the big question entering this season is what's going to happen with Dwyane Wade. He's sort of the leftover guy. He opted in, I believe, before Butler was traded, and now he's just sort of sitting there 1 year, pretty steep money. Him and Robin Lopez also there. I think Lopez under contract for an additional year, though. What do you think they do with them? Is it, as soon as LaVine is good to go, Wade gets moved, or does Wade even get moved, in the next couple weeks, maybe before the season?
The only way I feel like he gets moved is if they buy him out, and I think he's signed in for $23 million or something around there. So that's not going to happen right off, right to begin the season, because they'd be on the hook for a majority of that money. So I feel like as the season progressed, that number goes down and down. And if he were to re-sign with another team, I believe there's some type of percentage that they would pay of the remaining salary. So a D-Wade move, I don't see it coming soon, but I do feel like he ends the season on another team. I'm hearing Cleveland probably, or a contending team, because a 34-year-old shooting guard on a 25-win team benefits no one. So it just logically it doesn't make sense, especially if we're going with the full rebuild. It doesn't make sense for D-Wade to stay on the team. Robin Lopez is still a valuable big, or a run, jump big, hustle guy. So I don't feel, and imagine his cap number is much lower than Dwayne's. So he's someone I could see sticking around, or maybe being traded. His contract would probably be a lot easier to move, but Dwyane is an albatross that probably gets bought out.
Yeah. So they're entering this full rebuild. The benefit, obviously, they have their own pick this coming draft, so that's going to be huge. And I guess we sort of touched on Chris Dunn, and it's a bit of a sticking point for me, because I have a feeling that he has to be, like you said, serviceable for guys like Markkanen. Bobby Portis obviously had some flashes last year, but still a very young guy. I think they're going to develop a lot better if they have a point guard that can actually play the position and, I don't know, draw some attention from the defense, which Chris Dunn just doesn't do right now. So I guess, have you seen any of him at all? I guess up in Minnesota, I saw him like one game, but he didn't play very much. So I don't know. It's tough to say on him.
Yeah, no, he was running a lot of backup point behind Rubio, and even LaVine played some point while they were there. I haven't seen a lot of Dunn, but I know his profile, he's a longer guard, like 6'4", so that would lend itself to strong defense, and he seems like a pass-first type guy, or someone willing to pass. But offensively, I don't know what he can contribute, but I do know that Tibbs is very hard on rookies. He asks a lot of them on defense, so that can bog down your mind and kind of just cloud up your entire game. Hoiberg, even though I haven't necessarily seen it over the years, he's known for his free-flowing offense, so maybe that will free Dunn up to be more of the player that we saw in Providence.
Yeah, and he's I assume he's gonna get this chance to start right out of the gate. They waive both Isaiah Cannon and Rondo. Jerry and Grant, Cameron Payne. I don't know where else they're looking at that position right now, but it should just be Dunn's job to lose, I guess, enter training camp.
Yes, I would imagine so, and I believe Payne might be hurt, experiencing some type of setback. I know he didn't finish the season healthy, and he's someone we traded for. We moved Doug McDermott and Taj to OKC for, that they were expecting to play, and they've yet to get a good look at what he can even do, because he was buried behind Westbrook. So I don't think he'll be a factor, but maybe he'll be a pleasant surprise.
Cool. All right, and lastly, we could just touch on, we're doing this with each team, how they beat the Celtics, how they match up with the Celtics. The Bulls in Boston will meet a handful of times this year. Obviously, the playoffs last year were pretty competitive. I mean, for on the whole. This year, I don't know if I see that happening. Like I said, the point guard spot's just going to be such a question mark with the Bulls entering the season, and with Kyrie Irving on the other end, that could be disastrous. But obviously, Bobby Portis, Lauri Markkanen, they're going to present some matchup problems with Boston. The Celtics don't really have, perimeter big defenders, I guess, not that anyone does. So they could be matchup problems really for anyone.
Yeah, well, I think you guys have Marcus Morris now, I believe. One of the Morrises.
This is true, yes.
Marcus is a strong perimeter defender that can stretch defenses as well. But no, it's just so hard to have anything very positive to say when you subtract Jimmy Butler and he's replaced with Paul Zipser. I like Paul. He has a lot of irrational confidence. He shoots a lot and takes a lot of interesting shots for someone 75% of the league has never heard of. But that's a tremendous drop in terms of the backcourt when you go from Rondo and Butler to Dunn and Zipser. And then on the wing, I mean, Denzel Valentine was a summer league all-star last year, but he hasn't looked good, and he has chronic ankle problems and lower body problems, and so it's just all around a lot of question marks, a lot more question marks in the Celtics. Even with the subtraction of Avery Bradley, I mean, Marcus Smart is still a tough defender, and I can imagine him giving fits to a poor Paul Zipser.
All right, so that's going to do it really for our Chicago Bulls preview. Trending, I'd say horizontal right now. There's a lot for fans to look forward to watching with this team this year, and then obviously you have your own pick, and also maybe you get another pick for Wade, or if you're able to or want to move Robin Lopez, you can get another pick maybe in that lottery area. And 2018 is going to be a fun summer, hopefully, for the Bulls.
Yep, going for that number one pick. Let's go.
There you go. All right, that's Akeem Glaspie at the Akeem Glaspie on Twitter. You can follow him there. Thank you so much, Akeem. We will talk to you soon.
Anytime.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to Day 4 of the Boston Celtics Newsfeed's 2017-18 NBA preview. Again, you can get more analysis on the CLNSradio.com site and view any of our previous episodes at youtube.com/CLNS Media. Also head over there for all of your training camp and preseason game coverage. Follow CLNS on Twitter at CLNS Media and myself at CLNS_Walsh. Be sure to subscribe to the Celtics Newsfeed, rate and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, and of course the CLNS Media Network's mobile podcast app. Tune back in tomorrow when I speak with CLNS Celtics Editor at Large Cory Prescott about Dirk Nowitzki, Paul Pierce parallels, Dennis Smith Jr., and his preview for the Dallas Mavericks. Until then, this is Newsfeed Manager Mike Walsh signing off.